Hey everyone, Shoes here, This Irish Life, back again, episode 5, Boyne Valley on my Torah. I'm going to jump straight into it. We left off with some epic revelations up here, where using, in fact, this map which we're going to look at today in more detail, or someone similar to it, we're going to continue to see if there is indeed what looks like massive fortresses hidden under the ground in this area up here. And we're going to take a closer look at the area and the mounds in the area. Even looking at this on the front now, I've got a new perception on some of these mounds and what they are. And the spots of the mounds, they match the places on today's mountains, so what we call mountains today. But these mountains look very odd. This is the thing about it. They don't look like, they just look odd, and that's what we're going to look at. So without further ado, we're going to get going, and we're going to start with our revelation which we had in Carrickeel, where it looks like a lot of these mounds could indeed be fortresses of some sort, and they've just got a load of stone or mud just dumped on top of them. Literally, a lot of them, like these ones in Carrickeel, just look like there was mud dumped on top of them. They're barely hidden. So I'm thinking that as we go on, it's going to either be painfully clear that they are structures, or it's going to be clear that they're not. So far, as wild as it sounds, it seems that they are structures from what I can ascertain looking with what I have. But we'll continue to investigate, but it fits the story. It fits the story, so we shouldn't be surprised. But we will be surprised just at the scale, you know. Sure, we looked at that in the earlier episodes back with all the different star canals and the different makeup of the ground itself. So when it's all paved, it looks very different. But basically we're up here today, okay, and we've got this old map here, these mounds, these fellas here, all these mounds, all these lads here, okay. These could potentially all have stuff dumped on them. These could all be fortresses, because the reason I say that is that Carrickeel is here, and Carramore, or whatever, those caves. I think these are the three that we looked at. So right here, these three. So, oh, let's throw up a bit higher. No, I think they're here. These are the ones. You're second guessing yourself. The stakes are high. So we're thinking that maybe these mounds are all fortresses potentially, and what was actually going on over here was very different to what it looks like now. So with that in mind, we are going to investigate the area a bit more. And I mentioned the last time that we're going to have a look at a place called Bulban, and this is going to blow your mind. So yeah, really. So this is in the area that we looked out at this from the top of Carrickeel, was it? Carrickeel Mound. So we looked out across at this from Carrickeel. I'm just looking at it now, and it's just, I would have said once again, I would have been like, oh, that's like a tree stump, man. So that's like a tree. If you were going speculating on what it might be, if it wasn't, I'm not sure what the mainstream say, like a basalt column or some carry on, I don't know. None of that makes sense. That's not even up for discussion in these videos. It's just, it's majestic, it's gigantic. This is Ben Bulban, this is a mountain in this area. What can you say? What can you say? It's just, we're going to get down and we're going to have a look at Ben Bulban. And we're going to see what we're going to investigate. I suppose I'm looking for caves again. Like caves, I think, is the big giveaway for man-made versus natural. Even though I'm sure there's cave systems, but I suppose caves in very high volume and with some sort of pattern to them, I suppose. The odd random cave here and there wouldn't really cut it, but like labyrinths within mountains, I think is quite suspicious. And then if you talk about, remember, like dwarfs used to live in the mountains. So maybe they weren't living in the mountains. Maybe the dwarfs were living in the ruins of the complexes. Maybe that was why people were apparently living in mountains. So this is Ben Bulban, and it is epic. And we've got all sorts of exciting pictures to follow here. And we're going to have a look, because we're looking for caves, isn't that what we said? So we're looking for caves. And lo and behold, Ben Bulban has got some caves. So when I put this material together, it's almost like I'm reading it for the first time, because I only skim it the first time and I see that it has what I want. So Ben Bulban in Sligo is one of those rare places where fairies are thought to be visible. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not worried about fairies at the moment. Fairies being the mythological characters of our tale. Dermot was killed by the boar while hunting here. Actually, that's a story that relates to Fionn McCool. So the later heroes, a little after our time. So let's have a look. Mighty cube of rock. Even at its broad level summit, for it is a high square table land like a mighty cube of rock set down upon the earth by some antediluvian god. There are treacherous holes therein, where more than one hunter may have been lost forever, penetrating to unknown depths, and by listening one can hear the tides from the ocean 3 or 4 miles away, surging in and out through the ancient subterranean channels. Connected with these holes, in the neighbouring mountains there are long caverns which no man has dared to penetrate to the end, and even dogs, it is said, have been put in them, never to emerge, or else to come out miles away. I mean, you honestly can't, like, my mind is honestly blown. Like, I literally, like, when I prepare this stuff, I haven't really reached the conclusion of where it could go when it reaches this level of conclusion. So it's saying that Ben Bulban is a big square tabletop mountain that is riddled with caverns that people have never emerged from, or some people have come out the other side. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Whew. So I suppose we'll have a look at it. Here's another picture. We'll go down on the ground in a minute. It's mind-blowing, this structure. Like, I mean, could it be Could it be something? I don't know. Is that a stretch? It is a stretch. It has all the red flags. It does have all the red flags. It's got the caverns. It's got the shape. I mean, we're going to see more when we go down and look at it from the ground. It's in an area where there's a huge suspicion that other structures are completely buried under the ground. But it just seems like so ridiculous, especially as an Irish person. I mean, to consider, like, look at the size of this, to consider that. I mean, I would have potentially said, as I said before, oh yeah, it looks like the base of a giant tree, but where are the roots of that tree? I would say they should be miles away. Maybe they are. Maybe it's put on a tree. There's also that possibility that these fortresses they had a base, and they were built upon like a high place, like Mount Olympus was up high. So there's always tales of these fortresses being built up high in high places. So maybe there is the base of a tree involved in some of these as well, the base of a giant tree. I wouldn't rule it out. But this is gigantic. I mean, we're talking about, is there some sort of structure on the top of it here? And maybe not. Maybe there's not on this one. Maybe this isn't a fort. But we're going to tease it in a small bit because I've lost the picture. Carrowmore tomb. So Carrowmore. Where's Carrowmore? Carrowmore. More meaning big, large. Carrowmore megalithic cemetery. Oh, it is up here. So Carrowmore, I presume that we are going to find. We never even looked at the Ben Bulban. We'll go to Ben Bulban in a minute. Ben Bulban, we're holding off. We're going to look at Carrowmore. So here is, they're old, they're new. And they do all this stuff with the megalithic tombs to make them look super old. They probably look quite new. All these pictures are no good. So this is Carrowmore. Is it up on top of a mound or what is it? These are all. So we're going to have to just go straight into Carrowmore because I'm not really sure what's going on over in Carrowmore. We've got some rocks. Look at the landscape here. Look at the ground. Look at the patterns everywhere. What's Greg? It's just a place. The shapes in the ground. So where is the tombs in Carrowmore then? Look at this. These become so unexciting when you're looking at bogs on top of possible star force. Ransborough. Valley View. We're going to have to come out a small bit here to figure out where. I'm a bit higher than I wanted to be. I didn't really want to be in Carrowmore. Is this Carrowkeel here? What's this spot over here? We looked at that a couple of episodes back. And I suppose the other possibility with these, if you're talking from like a speculation, theoretical perspective, is it, did they take the stuff out of the lake and did they dump it on the side? And there's nothing under here, nothing under here. That's a possibility as well. Carrowmore. Carrowmore is up quite high now in comparison to where we are. Yeah, we're down here at the moment. So obviously the battle took place up here too. No doubt about it. Strand Hill. But we're kind of focused down here, and we're going to take a look at Ben Bulban. We're going to hit Ben Bulban up. Carramore, very disappointing. Probably epic. Save it for another day. Ben Bulban, and we're going to soak in a bit of Ben Bulban. So, where is Ben Bulban? Is this it? I'm not quite sure. Is this Ben Bulban or not? It looks like it. Well, I must say, from above, it definitely looks like some sort of a funny tree shape. Definitely give it that. Look at that. But that could just be a trick of the light. Now, is this Ben Bulban? This is it here. This is Ben Bulban. So is this whole thing Ben Bulban? Or just that section? Like, what are these? These all Ben Bulban? This is like a gigantic. It's just huge. Look at the definition. I know, I just have to soak in some of this because I'm really trying to understand. Like, I mean, could there be stuff under here? Certainly could. And certainly suspicious. But that's a lot. That's big there now. Like, that's a large. More bogs here. And I'm definitely not seeing the patterns in these that I saw in the others. But there's certainly the potential, even though, I mean, maybe it's because maybe I need to take a different view. But there's Ben Bulban, Sligo. What way we faced? Upside down. Get right way up. We've really come away from the boyne. I'm aware of that. I've kind of got caught over here, and I'm kind of just taking it as what's grabbing my interest. But we will come back here and we will continue our journey back to the source of the boyne, and there's some more epic tales to be told here. Told over there. So Ben Bulban, back to Ben Bulban again. So go to Ben Bulban and we're going to look at some photos. We're going to try and understand what is going on in Ben Bulban. So this is Ben Bulban, and it seems it's a section here. It's a very unique looking feature. I mean, like, that could certainly be, like, look along here. I mean, if you're looking for features for masonry, you know, like from a block perspective, like, you could definitely say that it looks like it's melting down or it's eroded. Like, there could have been something there that was a bit grander. You could say that. Here, it looks a bit more melty, to be honest. It doesn't look like there was ever anything there. This one, well, you could definitely like the sections here. So you could, like, I mean, there's definitely a bit of pattern there. So when you're like, that's what I'm looking for in these. I'm looking for patterns and consistencies. That looks cool, doesn't it? Very nice. So Ben Bulban, that's Ben Bulban. No trees around either. There's definitely potential, and it's in an area where, like, it's an area that was devastated by this Great War. That's not, um, you know, there was a huge battle in this area, and like, Ben Bulban is. Why is that doing that? Stay there. Oh yes. So that's Ben Bulban up there. Ben Bulban. So I hadn't realised Ben Bulban was up that far. Interesting. So what's over here then? I thought we were over here. So we're going to head over to these mountains, which are in the valley where the battle took place. And we're going to continue to investigate these. It won't take too long because we want to keep to some story as well. But I'm thinking, right, lakes seem to have these beside them. And are they giant fortresses that were by the lakes? I mean, if you think of it, I suppose lakes and mountains go together. And this comes down here. And that all, like, there's just a line of mountain all the way down. We should go down really and have a look. Have a quick scooch around. So it's just mounds upon mounds, and there's dirt here. It's definitely not as clear cut when they're all together. It'd be very difficult to find any sort of designs in here. Maybe that one there now. We got a design there. So look, as I was saying, the old paths, they always kind of carve out the way. So if you look at that one, like there's definitely a pattern here on this one. We come over above it. Slowly does it. So sensitive. Like if you look at that there now. Oh, the paths do it. So I know you're stretching it, of course, and it's a stretch to consider, but we're considering the stretchable here. And we're seeing these odd shapes, and if there was something under here, the pathway would follow up along it. And then when you're looking at from the side, you're really seeing that that's literally, it's just a big pile of dirt, is it? I mean, what's on top of this thing? Like, once again, it's only when you get down close and you look at the pattern and you can see it's just a big pile of dirt. There's trees all over it. It's just a pile of dirt with trees all over it. That's it. And that's a mountain. Is it a mountain even? What's it called? These a mountain range? A bog. But look, you've got the edges here. And really, there's just too many oddities. And like here, I'm not going to turn the map around. I have an urge to want to look at this from the other side, but I'm not going to. Where are we here? Carrowmore. So Carrowmore is up there, just above it. So it's not that far away. And look, this is the interesting thing in Carrowmore. That's what I missed a minute ago, I think. We'll go over to it because it's right in front of us, and once again I'm sure this is going to blow our mind. So this one is half, like, it's just, even here now, I know the lines are round, but they're just, and then you've got the golf club here beside it, so there's also that. So we'll have a look at that to see if we can see anything in the golf club there in a moment. Because golf clubs also seem to hide these shapes. But this is slowly rising, you can see it there, up off the hill, off the land. So it's like just rising up. And then this falls off completely here. I mean, look at it. I mean, it's only when you get down to this level and you see the kind of this. Oh, lads. I have to just take a minute to consider this. We've got funny edges then. Sharp edges, of course. But the way this is just rising up, 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 down. Really. Like it's just there, up in Sligo, this big gigantic cairn, they call it. And it's got all the signs and features that there's something massive buried under the ground. Like, it's, oh my, oh my, oh my. We've got sand here then, sand everywhere as well. It's the other thing, sand and dirt. Drop the sand and dirt everywhere. So where's this golf club? I can't even think about the golf club at the moment. No wonder these are so famous. I didn't realise that they look so bizarre. Sure, of course they're famous. I mean, look at this here. I'm going to have to zoom in right here. See this? This. This is just bizarre looking, isn't it? Absolutely bizarre. And the definition of it is just amazing. I love it. Oh, we're doing for time. 28 minutes. Nice. So this is Carrowmore on the plain of, this is just above my Torah, I suppose. It's in Sligo. Close enough though. And this line here seems to be the main, like it's coming out. Is it one of these? Like when you look at it and it points. So you see what I mean? Kind of, this seems to be the point area. And even here, look. I wonder, could you trace back? You probably couldn't. Look out here. You've got that edge there. So the roads also follow the old canal route, and that's, oh, let's have a look at this road. Like even the road has the shape. And all in here, these are all like the way the road goes. It's almost like this was the part of the star. So as we said, stars are everywhere, all around the land by the looks of it. It's just a non-stop net of concrete, which is verifiable by all the walls. You could see them. It's concrete everywhere. This was just masonry, like you can't even believe. It's very unbelievable to think that it was possible, but it's only possible if you were in a world that was magical. What magic is, there's up for debate whether it was nature magic or technology or a combination or what, but they could do stuff on massive levels, and like they terraformed the landscape, obviously. And what was in the sea before they're finished? How long have they been at it? How long? So you've got all this sand here as well. Megalithic cemetery, Carramore. So I mean, to be honest, I was thinking that I was coming over here looking at underground tombs and cairns and souterrains, which I am, but like this is just phenomenal. The cairns and souterrains are just dotted about this. So, right. Oh, the sand as well. So, oh yes, actually, do you know what? Where we are, I'll turn this around. Turn it around. Look at that. That is a serious structure. Look at this one over here. What is this? This is definitely going to have to get a look immediately. So, like, all of these, like, were they a row? Were they a row? Like, I've seen star forts in large clusters, all in a row. I think on the Maginot Line in France, between France and Germany, they've got a lot of them, over 30, I think, just star forts in a row. So is this like an in a row of star forts that have all just had stuff splodged on top of them? Look at this here again. The roads tell the tale. Look at this here. Come on, like, for God's sake. Like, where am I now? I have to zoom out there in a minute. Tulane, Fortland, Shema. Oh yeah, I wanted to have a look at Killala, didn't I? Because this was part of the country that fell off. Is up around here. I can't get back far enough. I'm going to have to turn this around and I'm going to have a look at this section here because there could be something quite telling there now. And in here, like what's going on? Like the definition is just fantastic, isn't it? There's just forests all over the place. Little square roads through the forest. This goes up. Like a little valley in here. Like would these be sections between places on the top? I'm going to have to go around and have a look. Where am I at all? And the Easky Bog, heading back down towards Straight Abbey. Oh yeah, so I'm right down here. There's a lot going on over there. Oh yeah, I'm in the right spot. Heading back down there towards. So these all just along the coast. And Bulban is in this range then, is it? Oh, lovely. Is this the range? Is this... Was I coming down here? Is this what I was looking at? Yeah, I'd say there's a very good chance that this is all just stuff dumped on. Like, I know that I must dig out that myth from the Vedas because like, they talk about them just dumping stuff on cities, just dumping it. It was in Egypt. So much information, you can't even remember half the time. Carramore. I'm heading back down towards Carramore now. Right. So we're not going to investigate those forever. Look at them all. Look at it. We could be all year long. But we're expanding our understanding of this, what the land looks like, and the powers that were working during this time. They were operating within this, probably within this Asgardian type of world, with all of the, like the star, like these like all fortresses. Like there's a potential that they could be, you know, and running along the original root systems of giant trees, maybe, along with it, because I still don't dismiss that, but it certainly does look like there is a lot of um, buried star star forts. Essentially, they're just. We're going to have a look at this one from the other side just before we go. Just one look. Because where's this now? Augustinian Abbey. So you've got an abbey there as well. So the abbey also ruined, okay? So you've got ruined abbeys, and then you've got missing star forts. So the star forts everywhere. There's none anywhere in Ireland. Why won't this turn? There we go. Nice. So I'm just going to get my bearings here in. Now, so is this the bog? The bog, the bog. What did they dump? Like, are these, like, look at this. This is gas. I'll tell you, it's only when you actually go down to this view that you really appreciate the stepped nature. I'd always talk about that as well. Like, you see it everywhere, just the terrace. Everything's terraced. I mean, if you imagine there, that's just gigantic. It's a big, I suppose, a big city. Not even a city. Like the cities seem to be small in comparison to whatever these things were. What were these? These are just gigantic, and they have like sloping up, like these are just gently sloping up, and then it kind of flattens out, and then they slope up again, which is normal, you know, like it's a common type of pattern that you see around the place. But when you see it in these angles, and when you're looking for certain patterns, you can't help but see what you see. Anyway, I think that that's enough on buried cities, buried stars, buried fortresses. Fortresses, I think. Buried gigantic fortresses. That's what we call them. So, we haven't done any mythology really. Is there any mythology to do? Where are we? We were at Carramore. So, Carramore brought us some interesting places. Oh yes, Clew Bay. Maybe we'll hop over to Clube for a brief moment. But I'll read this first. Clube. Clube is a natural ocean bay in County Mayo. It contains the best example of sunken drumlins. The bay is overlooked by Croagh and the Neffin Range. So what's a drumlin? Clube, drumlins. What is a drumlin? A drumlin is a littlest ridge, an elongated hill in the shape of an inverted spoon or a half-buried egg, formed by the glacial ice acting on underlying unconsolidated till or ground moraine. Come here, they really know how to put words rubbish in there, don't they? Look at those words. Clusters of drumlins create a landscape which is often described as having eggs in a basket topography. So this is really interesting, Clube, because it's just more mounds except they're buried in the sea. So obviously we can't see what's going on in those mounds, but is there the potential? Like those mounds, it's almost like they're little islands. We'll have a proper look here now. And hopefully we'll be able to see some of them. And if not, I'm sure. Oh, we won't, I'd say. There'll be no drumlins for us. Oh, this them, is it? This is the drumlins. My mouse is acting up big time. It's a bit better, I think. Yeah, the mouse is a bit jumpy. Clube. So we're over here. This is where we are. We're all in this area. We were looking. We have castles in these lakes. We were up here. We've got gigantic fortresses that are covered in bog and grass. And then Clube is here. Clube has a load of mounds in it. Beside Clube is Croagh Patrick, which is the hill that is pilgrimaged, or that people go on pilgrimage to, for St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, who has major ties to this area. We will talk about St. Patrick and what he did here, but he actually had a trip down the river, River Mullala, and the town of Mullala, and there was a healing well here somewhere. So the healing well, we're probably going to assume, is an abbey of some sort. So we're going to look for an abbey in Mullala related to Croagh Patrick, and we're going to have a look at Croagh Patrick as well with some new eyes and wonder what's Croagh Patrick all about. What did St. Patrick do to Croagh Patrick? Delphi. I was down in Delphi as a young fella. So we're going to go into Clube. We're going to have a look at drumlins, and hopefully we'll get a bit of resolution. Google has been very kind to us. Beautiful. Thank you, Google. So as you can see, like there's fields and walls on these islands. So as I've been saying, these are always walls, these little shapes. I don't need to keep saying it, but maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe I need to keep saying it to myself, reassure myself. But here at Clube, these are islands. I don't think these are the drumlins, are they? The drumlins must be out in the bay. We'll have an old look here. We'll have a look at the pictures. These the drumlins. These are the drumlins. Croagh Patrick, I'd say. No, the dirt, doink, massive fortress, bump. I can wonder about all the mountains now. Flipping heck. so possible as well, because they do just look like big mountain, like mountains look like mountains of dirt. What's this? Clube. This is the town. Look at these buildings, 3-story, minus the mud flood. Big lake. What's this here? This is a Clube drumlin by the looks of it, is it? Clube. So this is a drumlin here. And some dude is taking a lovely picture of it. Here is this is an actual picture from the top of, could be Crowpatrick even, of Clube. So we don't have too many of Clube here. Oh, look at this here. This is an interesting one. Like this, so this is a drumlin. Let's have a look at the map again. This one here. Here's a great example of a nice old wall that's buried in dirt. It's a great example of the walls that separate the fields. So this is what we're looking down on. Whenever we look down on the wall, this is what we look at generally. If they are covered in grass, obviously there's clear ones as well. So that's Clube and drumlins, and I'm sure there'll be some fantastic shapes to find in there. We'll have one quick look before we dart out again. And we've got Rockfleet Castle up here. That could be interesting now. So we've got a castle up on the edge. Totally destroyed, of course. Rockfleet Castle. What's going on here? Any pictures for us, lads? And sure, that's the castle. It's just like a big tower. But once again, look at the sharpness of the lines. Again, look how sharp those lines are. This is not that old a building, and I know they'll probably say it was built by the Brits or something. I don't know, a couple of years ago, probably 1960. It's like, oh yeah, 1960, lads. Oh yeah. They did. So stop asking questions about buildings. Okay, sorry. Rabbit Island. There's nothing too enthralling here apart from some odd shapes here and there, alright though. Like this one here. I know it's like a square. And like you're working back, like the edge here. I mean, but you know what? We're not going to make it about searching for patterns in the ground, because the patterns are there. This is just about putting some pieces together and having a bit of fun doing it. We are not going on a wild goose chase for patterns that are already there. So I'd say we could be close to finishing up this video. I feel that the series is close to finished. We're going to talk about St. Patrick, and we're going to talk about the Molalla River. We're going to talk about Crowpatrick. We'll talk a little bit about Crowpatrick now. It's a different tale than the tales that we've been discussing. So we've been talking about the Tuatha Dé Danann, the Forbolg, the Fomorians. And Patrick could probably be seen as Milesian, so coming in with the Roman religion and erasing the Catholic, or erasing the pagan, the nature religion, the original religion with Ogham and all of that. So the stories of St. Patrick, they centre around, as we said, we've got Slane. So he went to Slane and he lit a fire on Slane in the hill of Slane. And we're going to go back to Slane, and we're going to see that there's probably a couple of interesting features in that landscape now that we've identified what the landscape is looking like. And we're probably going to see that what St. Patrick was probably doing at the time, like these were points of power, obviously. So we're really going to have to look at whether the whether the tales of St. Patrick were at what stage they were at in the story. So, for my mind, we're talking after the flood. And maybe just talk about the flood or the cataclysm for a minute, whatever it was. And there's obviously like something. There's a lot of mud came from somewhere, and it's sitting on everything. And there's also a lot of water came from somewhere, and it's sitting on everything as well. So the natural landscape, that if you give it enough thought, obviously, natural landscape is very different than what the standard definition says it came from. And I think that, like in the stories of Ireland, we have so many different, so many different peoples coming at different times, but all the battles seem to be kind of the same, you know. Like we have the Tuatha De Danann fighting the Fir Bolg first battle at Moytura. And then we have the Tuatha De Danann fighting the Fomorians second battle at Moytura, and also coming across to Slane. And then we've got St. Patrick invading Ireland, first at Slane, and then in Mayo at Moytura, like all these areas, it's all St. Patrick's. And then all of the abbeys that were associated with St. Patrick, all of the abbeys that are destroyed, that were made from the same blocks that star forts are made from. So like all the masonry is like, it's from the same period. Some is more weathered and eroded and battered than others. Some has bogs sitting on top of it by the looks of it. Others has just lots of mud sitting on top of it. Some canals are empty. Some canals are rivers. Some canals are full. So we're trying to fit where everybody goes, and maybe it's no point even talking about the time of it, because I get the feeling that potentially that up until a couple of 100 years ago, I just have a feeling that a lot of this mud and the water wasn't here. There's just something about it feels so fresh, and that all the infrastructure still feels so fresh and looks so fresh. I mean, like the dates that they talk about here, like 441, that could be I-441. So, like, this could have been happening in the year 1441, and there was a takeover happening, and like the stories of the Anunnaki gods, where they were bombing the spaceport in the Sinai Peninsula, and doing things like that. Like in Ireland, is that what was being mimicked? Is it in the year 441 when St. Patrick finally finished the task of banishing everyone? Was he here before the flood? Because they talk about the giants before the flood. Like maybe everything just ended together, and then the restart happened then in the 1500s and 1600s. Obviously everything changed again, and we have the colonial powers that was seen to be England taking over America, and vast tracts of India, and the world essentially. But was that just them going in afterwards at the earliest possible opportunity that they could? Is that what was happening there? And like we're talking that like in 1441, St. Patrick was, he was of the invaders, whoever it was, and maybe it's the Tuatha De Danann, maybe like the good guys will always paint themselves as the good guys in the story at the end of it. So like we need to, like, the Fomorians are the ones who are painted as the worst, and they seem to be the ones that had all of their fortresses dumped, dumped a bog on them all. But we don't know. Like they were all, from what I can see, they were all half Tuatha and half Fomorian anyway in the first place, because um, Dalba was the father of the progenitors of Tuatha who were Elaha and Morrigan, and the mother was Ernmas, who was a Tuatha. So, and they all came from Nemed anyway. So, and then that all seems to go back to Noah. So, that was pre-flood. So, was all of this just happening before the flood? Um, you know, was there even a flood? Was it just an all-out weather war? Is that what was happening? And they just targeted. Anyway, who knows? We could be pondering that question for hours upon hours. But what we do know is that the landscape of Ireland is littered with the scars of its mythology. And we're piecing together that mythology bit by bit. And it's great fun altogether. I reckon there's a couple more episodes left in it. I think I'll go through the remaining areas of interest here and make my way back over here. And there's probably some interesting stuff here. I did find before I go, there is a very interesting bog up here. What are we on time wise? 56. The shapes. Eshbrak bog. I'm not sure why I was so enamored by it day one. I always look at it from one angle and it looks amazing. Anyway, that's it for episode 5. We're going to be back in episode 6 with a bit more exciting adventures into the mystery of Ireland. We're probably going to touch on St. Patrick, I think, for the next one. And we're going to discuss I think we're going to do holy wells, and we're going to look at abbeys, and we're going to see, is there any relation with abbeys and holy wells? And because if you can revive the dead, that is a handy one to be able to do. So I hope you enjoyed it, lads. I will see you in the next one, episode 6. Take care. Think good thoughts. Yeah.